Good evening and welcome to National News. Today we're discussing the of 2023 and it's soon coming to an end. And joining me today is John, a fellow coworker of mine. Hello, John, and welcome to the program.
Thanks for introducing me, Bobby. It sure has been an interesting year from the political and scientific point of view. Today's episode is going to be extremely interesting, so I hope you're tuning in.
Okay. To get into things, let's start with the most impactful technology to come out of 2023, and it is artificial intelligence. Ever since OpenAI, introduced GPT-3 and GPT-4, the world has not been able to get enough, John.
Yeah, indeed. And it's also come with its own complications. Like, for example, the writers in Hollywood have recently had to go on strike to try and get better, I guess, insurance against AI. You could say that. They were able to strike a deal with the big Hollywood companies that for the next 6 years, they're going to keep their jobs. And that never will big jobs like head writer or composer is going to be taken over from AI. They also were able to get better pay because they were severely underpaid for many years.
Yes, and John, and not to mention how people are now scared of losing their jobs for AI. And this isn't just the writers. It is a true. Well, I think that.
Yeah. I don't personally think jobs are going to be taken over anytime soon. Maybe in 100 years. But then we're going to have new jobs, right? That's what people don't say. AI might take over some jobs, but we're going to have new jobs thanks to AI. But right now, like in the near future, I don't think they're going to be taken over because of a card that was written and signed by multiple big what is known as tech bros, right? Like Elon Musk, for example, he signed the card telling the companies developing AIs to put a brake on it so they can first come up with technologies that can make sure something's not AI or just to check for fake news.
Yes, I understand. Okay, John, but on another note, China is having a huge increases in automotive boom at the same time. What do you think about it?
Yeah, China's economy is very weird right now. Like in one part, it's collapsing because people usually take out loans from the bank to then pay these companies to build their house, meaning their house hasn't been built yet. They're paying for a future house, and these houses are very expensive because China has a lot of population. But these companies are recently stopped building the houses, so people are starting to stop paying the loans at the banks, which is in turn bankrupting the banks because they don't have any cash flow. But one thing that is keeping the economy of China up is like you said, the automotive business. They're soon to become the biggest automotive producers and exporters in the world, second only to Japan. But they're already the biggest exporters of electric cars.
Yes, and also China has recently to active pursues Apple with anti-Apple propaganda campaigns staying Apple. The smartphone brand for them is not patriotic, as well as banning all government officials from using Apple.
Yeah, I read something about that, but that's still not going to stop Apple from being an absolute huge player in the technology field, right? With the new iPhone 15 having just come out, being released, Apple still has a huge market share. They're worth trillions of dollars. No one's shopping Apple anytime soon. But I guess you could say this is China's own Huawei versus the U.S. government. Now it's Apple versus China. But in other parts of the world that aren't as big as China, but are still extremely important to look at because they affect the economy of basically everywhere because of the sheer amount of volume of product that's sold in these, has to be Colombia with the production of cocaine. In the past few years, Colombia had a contract that they had signed with the United States so that they would put chemicals in the air to kill all the cocaine leaf plants, right? Like the coca plants. But recently, this contract has expired, meaning the USA is not helping actively anymore Colombia with these chemicals, meaning cocaine production in Colombia has spiked. And now we're seeing a lot of cocaine being distributed throughout the world, right? And the number one country, well, actually, the number one continent that's taking cocaine right now is Europe, having surpassed the reigning king. Well, it's not really a king because it's nothing good. That was the United States of America.
Yes, it is interesting. and we will have to see what happens in the war against drugs. And talking about talking about war still reigns on. Ukraine and Russia are still fighting, and China seems to be prepared to invade Taiwan. There have been also news from Africa, thanks to a recent coup in Niger. This is thanks to France not waiting to pay more for their materials and work, which have both been underpaid for years now. You might be asking, what does Niger have that France want? Their friends wants. I'm sorry. Well, it's uranium, a key component in nuclear energy, one of the main types of energy used in France.
Yeah, that's really big right now, and it seems like China wants to invade there as well. Like a lot of news on China recently. But talking about wars, what produces wars? Usually politics or economy. So taking we already looked at the economical part. We're going to look to the politic part, and we're going to see that Donald Trump has recently been persecuted for conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and obstruction of an official proceeding, which has led to his infamous mugshot being passed around on the internet. I think you've probably seen it. And so, yeah, he's finally being persecuted as well as some other like government officials that he had working under it.
Yes. Okay. In more political news, Mexico in a recent conference has just revealed what is supposed to be two modified alien bodies from Peru, but it seems they have been proven to indeed not be real aliens bodies. What do you
Uh,
think about it?
yeah, it's very interesting. It's not the first time that it has happened this year as well. In 2021, during the pandemic, there was actually a video that was classified from the CIA of like a UFO sighting. And this year, a government official that works in the part of defense went to Congress to speak publicly. It's been shown on television about them finding a UFO that had crashed in non-Earth based life forms. So, in other words, they had found a UFO with aliens inside of them. That is what this guy confirms. Now, all this information is yet to be completely confirmed or completely false. So, you got to stay and looking up to date with that to see what happens in the future, like in the next few years.
Okay. To start ending it off, let's go over to a more serious topic: global warming. Scientists now say that 2023 will be the coldest years for the next few decades, meaning the years will only get hotter from now. It seems we have crossed a line we can ignore.
Yeah, in the same line of like reports, you see that Europe is having huge heat waves. It seems that there's no real like, well, I mean, there's one saving grace, which should be hopefully the room temperature superconductors, like LK99, which is a superconductor that was published by a few Korean scientists that is supposed to work at room temperature. In other words, you need a room temperature, it will have properties of superconductor, which means they can pass electricity with no resistance. And this helps a lot for cleaner energies like nuclear energy. So that's like the only type of saving grace there is right now for global warming. Once again, the more important news is that Europe is still suffering from huge heat waves, spiking up into very high temperatures, and people are just not going to see an end to it. And like you said, it's going to be the coolest this year that it will be for the next good amount of years.
Yeah, of course. If LK9090 is indeed a room temperature superconductor, fusion energy might be able. Fusion energy is a type of nuclear energy which is most safer and cleaner than fission. Which is the energy that's being used as of 2023. Since it doesn't produce reactor waste. Even if LK9090 is not a room temperature superconductor, some physics state to have made a fusion device that produce more energy than that is used for it. Meaning, in the near future, fusion energy might be a real thing.
Yeah. I really do hope, room temperature protectors, it can actually become a thing, because they bring us to our next topic, which is, quick fire scientific discoveries of this year, to like end it off on a good note. One of them, if superconductors and room temperature do become real, we're going to be getting quantum computers in the near future, which is going to help us, with a lot of things, calculations, scientific discoveries, where you have to have very complex mathematical models and cryptology as well. Because a quantum computer works by, instead of having bytes that can only be ones and zeros, they can have, there's another term that I can't think of right top of my head right now. But they're basically just like bytes, just that they can be 1, 0, and in between at the same time, allowing them to be in a super quantic state of both on and off at the same time, allowing them to do very complex and very tedious tasks in an instant, like that. Another very interesting thing in the field of physics is that we have found a better way to measure gravitational waves, which is, instead of using a lab that was in Arizona, United States, we're going to be using the entire Milky Way as a device, as a measuring tool, by using the arms of the Milky Way as devices. I'm not extremely sure how it is that it's going to work specifically, because I'm not an expert in that field, but I think it's very interesting seeing how we're going to be able to measure gravitational waves a lot better thanks to that. And on the biggest, and probably in my opinion, the best news, there has been some great discoveries in the field of our war against cancer, right? Some drugs have recently been shown to actually be extremely effective against some type of breast, prostate, lung, pancreas cancer, and et cetera, more types of cancer as well. And we just hope that this drug will become readily available to the public, and more drugs of it can come out, and we can finally win the war against cancer. And hopefully big companies don't monopolize on this and take advantage of the civilians like they always seem to do. Let's just hope that they don't do this time, because cancer is a huge problem these days. It's just going to continue growing as the population grows as well.
Oh, that all sounds interesting. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This was a short and quick recap of everything that has happened in 2023 up to September. And goodbye, John.
Goodbye,
It
Mauro.
was amazing.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning into Universal News once again. See you all next time, probably at New Year's, Christmas, or maybe next year.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.